is an atom? An atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains the chemical properties of that element. Atoms are the building blocks of matter and consist of three main subatomic particles. Protons, positively charged particles found in the nucleus center of the atom, neutrons, neutral or no charged particles located in the nucleus, electrons, negatively charged particles that orbit the nucleus are regions called electron shells or energy levels. The number of protons in an atom is called the atomic number and it defines the element. For example, an atom with one proton is hydrogen, an atom with two protons is helium, and so on. What is an element? An element is a substance made up of only one type of atom. All elements are organized in the periodic table, which lists them by their atomic number and groups them based on their chemical and physical properties. For example, hydrogen, H, is an element with atomic number 1, meaning it has one proton in its nucleus. Oxygen, O, is another element with atomic number 8, so it has 8 protons. Elements combine in different ways to form compounds. For instance, hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water. Structure of an atom. Nucleus contains protons and neutrons. It's dense and positively charged. Electron cloud surrounds the nucleus where electrons move in orbits or in energy levels. Electrons are much lighter than protons or neutrons and are arranged in shells around the nucleus. Electron configuration. Electrons fill energy levels or shells in a specific order. The first shell can hold 2 electrons, the second shell can hold 8 electrons, and the third shell can hold 18 electrons, and so on. Electrons in the outermost shell are called valence electrons and play a key role in chemical bonding. Understanding the periodic table. The periodic table organizes elements into rows called periods and columns called groups or families based on their atomic structure and properties. Let's write down the key features of the periodic table. Periods, rows. The rows in the periodic table are called periods. Each period represents the filling of a new electron shell. As you move from left to right across the period, the atomic number increases by 1, meaning each successive element has one more proton and one more electron than the previous element. The properties of elements change as you move across the period. For example, metals are on the left side and nonmetals are on the right side. Groups or columns. The columns of the periodic table are called groups or families. Elements in the same group have similar chemical properties because they have the same number of valence electrons in the outermost shell. There are 18 groups in the periodic table. Some notable groups include Group 1, alkali metals, very reactive metals, Group 2, alkaline earth metals, less reactive than alkali metals but still reactive. Group 17, halogens, highly reactive nonmetals, and Group 18, noble gases, inert gases with stable electronic configurations. Metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Metals. These elements are typically shiny, conductive, malleable, and ductile. Most elements on the periodic table are metals. Nonmetals. These elements are typically dull, brittle, and poor conductors of heat and electricity. Metalloids. These elements have properties that are intermediate between metals and nonmetals. Key information in the periodic table. Each element on the periodic table contains several important pieces of information. The atomic number, the number of protons in the nucleus of the atom. It determines the element and is located at the top of each element's box. Element symbol, a 1 or 2 letter abbreviation for the element. Atomic mass, the weighted average mass of the atom of the element considering the different isotypes. It is usually found below the element symbol. Electron configuration, the arrangement of electrons in the atom shells. Isotopes. Isotopes are atoms of the same element that have the same number of protons but a different number of neutrons. This leads to different atomic masses. For example, carbon-12 has 6 protons and 6 neutrons, whereas carbon-14 has 6 protons and 8 neutrons used in carbon dating. Some isotopes are stable while others are radioactive and decay over time, emitting radiation. Periodic trends. As you move across the periodic table, certain properties of elements change in a predictable way. These are called periodic trends. Atomic radius, the size of the atom. It generally decreases from left to right across the period and increases from top to bottom down a group. Ionization energy, the energy required to remove an electron from an atom. It tends to increase across the period and decrease down a group. Electronegativity, the ability of an atom to attract electrons in a chemical bond. It increases across a period and decreases down a group. Example of elements and their properties. Here are some examples of elements and their properties. Hydrogen, the lightest element, a nonmetal and highly reactive. It is found in compounds like water. Oxygen, a nonmetal essential for respiration in animals and combustion in fuels. Iron, a metal widely used in construction, manufacturing, and a component of hemoglobin in the blood. Gold, a precious metal with high malleability and conductivity, often used in jewelry and electronics. Neon, a noble gas that emits a characteristic red, orange glow when electrified, often used in neon signs. The lanthanides and the actinides. These two rows, often placed below the body of the periodic table, contain elements known as rare earth metals, lanthanides, and radioactive elements, actinides. Examples include neodymium, used in strong permanent magnets, and uranium, used in nuclear reactors. Summary. Atoms are the fundamental building blocks of elements made up of protons, neutrons, and electrons. Elements are pure substances made of one atom and arranged on the periodic table. The periodic table is organized by atomic number and properties with elements grouped into metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. Isotopes are variations of elements with different numbers of neutrons. Periodic trends help predict element behavior and properties as you move across or down a table. Thank you.